Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be all ranking all of the Star Wars movies and TV shows. Now, tier 1, tier 3 is the lower tier, is the low tier, except for the upper tail of the low tier. Tier 2 is the mid. Tier 2 is the mid tier, and tier 1 is the high tier. So let's get started. At number 17, starting in tier 3, at number 17, I got Star Wars Resistance. At number 16, I got the 2003 Clone Wars series. Number 15, I got Solo. Number 14, I got The Last Jedi. Number 13, I've got Attack of the Clones. Number 12, I've got the Clone Wars movie. And at number 11, I've got the Phantom Menace. Let's go ahead and go through these one by one. And by the way, this is all just my opinion of where these movies should go and how much I like or dislike Solo and Last Jedi. But let's go through them. Star Wars Resistance. I never really got into that TV show. It just felt way too toned down of what the movies did. Like there was even no, yes, there was Poe, but there was no Rey or Finn. And there was no Rey or Finn. Which are there was Kylo and there was Hux and there was Phasma, but Rey and Finn are like my two favorite characters in the sequel trilogy. Don't hate. If you guys don't like the sequel trilogy, please just say that you don't like it, but please be nice in the comments. The 2003 Clone Wars series. I actually, just now gotten into it, and I haven't gotten through the whole thing. So, I'm putting it in tier 3 because I haven't gotten through the whole thing, so, and I feel like the 2008 one's better. But, let's get on to the movies. Solo. I feel like that is the weakest out of the 12 movies. Yes, there are 12 Clone Wars movie. But I feel like Solo was the weakest out of the 12. And the only thing that is gonna go for it, like give it some points, is the Darth Maul cameo. Spoilers: the Darth Maul cameo at almost at the end of the movie. But let's get on to The Last Jedi. Now, The Last Jedi had so many problems. Like Snoke, they completely messed him up. It's really the writers. It's really like the writer. It was just bad directing and bad writing. So Rey is still my favorite character in the sequel trilogy. But I am not gonna. Don't even get me started on Rose. I do not like Rose as a character. I like the actress, but the character just didn't have like the greatest writing. I'll probably do like a video of me like explaining how I would write. I've starting a rewrite of Episode 8 and Episode 9. So Force Awakens was great. Force Awakens is by far better of the two. Better of the two ones that started the sequel trilogy, and then Rise of Skywalker. Never mind. Okay. Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones. The only reason why it's down at tier 3 is because of the I think it's because of the bad dialogue. One of the reasons why I got it down here is because of the bad dialogue that they gave Hayden. And yeah, the action scenes were amazing though. So I'm giving it that. The Clone Wars movie, I actually have some pretty high praise for the Clone Wars. For the Clone Wars, as you'll see later in the list. But the Clone Wars movie just felt a little bit too much. Felt a lot like felt so much like a pilot, like a decent pilot, but not the best. It was a mediocre pilot to hands down the best animated series. So, yep. The Phantom Menace. One character is literally the only reason why it's down here. Jar Jar. More annoying than Rose? That's debatable. I do not hate Jar Jar or Rose. It's really just like I'm not even gonna get into that. But moving on. Tier 2. At number 10, I've got Return of the Jedi. At number 9, I've got Rogue One. At number 8, I've got Revenge of the Sith. At 7, I've got The Mandalorian. And at 6, I have Star Wars Rebels. Okay. Same thing. Return of the Jedi, I actually have seen that the least out of the original trilogy, and by far it's not the best out of the original trilogy. Good closer to the trilogy, but Okay, Rogue One. I love this movie. I love Rogue One. It really puts the war in Star Wars. Like for a franchise that's got the name war, that's got the word war in it, Star Wars, wars in it. Rogue, they never really do a really good job of portraying the not the reality of war, but like a more mature look at the Galactic Civil War. Yeah. Now, Revenge of the Sith. I love Revenge of the Sith. It is by far the best out of the prequel trilogy, and so many lightsaber duels. I freaking love it. The only reason why why it's down here is because the other movies and TV shows are actually better. The other movies are actually better. The rest of the list is just better. Now, number 7, The Mandalorian. I love The Mandalorian, and especially Baby Yoda. Come on, it's like I when I saw Baby Yoda, I was like, okay, by far the one of the best Star Wars Star Wars projects ever. um yeah, and and Baby Yoda is by far the most potent is without Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian like drop Darth Vader in the most for the number one number the number one recognizable character or um what is that word iconic not iconic marketable character for Star Wars. Baby Yoda is now number 1, and the Mandalorian is number 2, and Vader is 3. And Vader is number 3. Okay, so moving on. Star Wars Rebels. I love Star Wars Rebels. I just season 1 was it started off weak, but once it got to the Ahsoka versus Vader fight, it just went tenfold. It's arguably it could be argued that it's not as good as the Clone Wars, but it's up there. Sorry guys. So that's tier 2. 10 Return of the Jedi. 9 Rogue One, Revenge of the Sith, The Mandalorian, and Star Wars Rebels. Now tier 1 is by far where it get. Now the bottom of tier 1 is going to be the most controversy, has the most controversy. But number 5, I have The Force Awakens. All right. Number 4, I've got A New Hope. Number 3, The Rise of Skywalker. Number 2, Star Wars The Clone Wars TV series. And number 1, The Empire Strikes Back. One of the reasons why I like The Force Awakens so much is because it introduced a new generation of Star Wars. It had the most potential. It had the most potential for a great trilogy, but Last Jedi kind of ruined that. But all in all, The Force Awakens is 5th. I mean, it's not a bad movie. A New Hope, however, is it's the original Star Wars movie, so by far it has to get high points. I also just feel like A New Hope is a little bit overrated. Empire actually gives it a run for its money, but I love. You gotta remember, guys, that I love every one of these, all these movies and all these TV shows, Resistance, Solo, and Last Jedi, and Last Jedi, and Resistance, but except for the bottom 4, but but the Rise of okay, so number 3 is the Rise of Skywalker, and honestly, yeah, it had some pacing issues, like it went by almost a little too fast. Like, but it just felt like Star Wars, and like, but it just felt, to me, it almost felt like a sequel to The Force Awakens than it did to The Last Jedi. But, now, now, this is something that a lot of you guys will agree with me that this is at the very least number 2. Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I love Star Wars: The Clone Wars, especially season 4 onward. I just love it. Now seasons 1, 2, and 3 the weaker uh, are the weaker out of the Clone Wars, but season 4 onward is where the steam really gets going. The Siege of Mandalore, the Umbara arc, um, the Umbara arc, and the and spoilers for the last 2 episodes of the Clone Wars. Order 66. I loved I loved every minute of that show, of those moments. Darth Maul just like going going full animal mode on the clones. Sam Witwer going back to going back into Star Killer mode, which going back to Star Killer mode, which sorry guys. Now, Empire Strikes Back. This is by far my favorite my favorite Star Wars movie, because I just love the pacing, the action, the character development. Character development. Do I need to say it again? Character development. This is what this is when you're doing a trilogy or even a saga. The second when you're doing a trilogy, the second movie should should feel should have either a ton of action and have either a ton of action or a ton of action like how Spider-Man 2 does, and it also needs to have a lot of character development. Now, there are three second movies in their respective trilogies that does this beautifully. Number 1 is Spider-Man 2. One is Spider-Man 2. The second one is Captain America: Winter Soldier, and the third is, of course, Empire Strikes Back. Now, unfortunately, this is where fortunately, character development is by far what Empire does best at, while Attack of the Clones and Last Jedi don't do all that well. Don't do all that well. They actually make you care about these characters, and yeah, Attack of the Clones actually does it somewhat good, but it's really the Clone Wars that you get like to fall in love with these characters. Um But um Empire really does the impossible. Like, and at the end of Empire, it has by far the most iconic twist in all of cinematic history. No, Luke, I am your father. It's like when I heard those words for the first time, I was like, what? I was in shock. Like, um, I can it's like I can only imagine what it was like for the people that got to see it in the people that got to see it in theaters. Like I feel like em- like what Empire did in 1980 felt like felt like Avengers Endgame now is like the equivalent of Avengers Endgame. Um yeah. So anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this ranking and this different type of video. Let me know if you want to see like me trying to um rank the MCU or the DCEU movies. Um so anyways guys, that's gonna be everything. That's gonna be everything. Let me just nope.